Welcome to Gratefully Gifted, a podcast for gifted kids made by gifted kids because we do think it's great to be gifted. On today's episode, we will interview Officer Jesse Wilcox, who is a school resource officer at an intermediate school. So let's get started as we learn about police and school safety on today's episode.
First, some fun. Today, I want to share with you some trivia or interesting facts. Where was the first police department in the world? It's said that the first police department in the world, although it wasn't called that, it was in Egypt 3,000 years ago. The first police officers worked at night, not in the day. The first officers worked to prevent crime from happening after dark. The levels of police are officer, going up the ranks, detective is next higher, then sergeant, then lieutenant, captain, commander, deputy chief, and chief. Where did the name cops instead of police come from? Some say it started because of their copper badges worn by policemen. Others say cop is based more on the policeman's job because in Latin the verb capere it means to capture. In French the word is caper. In Dutch, capen basically means to steal or take. English words come from French, Latin, and German. They just shorten all the words into one. The first uniformed, centrally organized police force was established by the rule of King Louis, which is the King of France in 1667.
Now it's time for talking time. We have with us today Officer Jesse, who is our school resource officer and works for Branson Police. Welcome to the Gratefully Gifted podcast, Officer Jesse.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
How long have you been a police officer?
So I am in my 8th year of being a police officer.
Yeah. It's almost longer than I've been alive.
Oh my goodness. That's fair.
What inspired you to do your job as an officer at a children's school?
So I absolutely love being a police officer. I love serving people, giving to people. Safety is a big thing. Now at a school, if you guys haven't noticed, I'm pretty much like a kid at heart still. Still like to have fun, be kind of goofy. So I get along really well with the kids. I've got 2 little kids of my own that actually go over to CRP. So making sure that they're protected is a big thing. But also kids in general. Protecting them is just a big thing. They are our next generation, very important. So getting to love on kids, be that connection with them. Positive connection between law enforcement and kiddos is huge. It's big in my heart. So that's why I wanted to be an officer at the school.
Yes. Well, you seeing me is one of the benefits, of course.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Of course. Yes.
How intense was the police training?
So it was 750 hours long of training. Started in July and then it ended in December. And it was day and night, Monday through Friday. Sometimes we would do it on the weekend, but it was pretty intense. We have to learn a lot about the laws for not just the Constitution, but also like the state of Missouri as well. And then we have to do a lot of physical training, defensive tactics, range time, stuff like that. So I'd say it was pretty intense.
That sounds very crazy.
It was, absolutely.
What do you do at your job every day?
My job here as a school resource officer, first thing I do is I'm just checking a whole bunch of safety things. Making sure doors are locked. If anybody's on property that we don't recognize, lots of people call me and I'll go talk to them, see what they're here for. Just making sure that everybody's safe inside and outside here on the school campus. The next big part of my job is I positively interact with the students and the teachers and the faculty, all the staff. A lot of people, their only connection with law enforcement is when they get in a wreck or when they get a speeding ticket or, sometimes bigger things that happen that get them involved in law enforcement. And rarely do people have just positive interactions. So then a lot of my job is just going out and being a smiling face in a uniform that people then can look past the uniform and see that it's just Officer Jesse. I'm just a person, and so that's a big part of my job is just going around and being that positive connection with people.
So there's a lot you do that we don't see. How do you handle emergency situations such as lockdowns or evacuations?
So there's lots of stuff in place during lockdowns and evacuations that are there for safety. And so your question is how do I respond to them? A lot of that we don't necessarily share because we don't want a lot of people to know everything that we're going to do in case they would try to plan something. So what I'll tell you is this. I respond in a very calm and safe manner to any situation that occurs to ensure the safety of everybody on this campus.
What advice would you give students to stay safe at school?
Biggest thing about staying safe in school is you're responsible for you. So if you want others to be safe, you have to be safe. That means keeping your hands to yourself, using polite words, using kind words keeps people safe. Lots of times that can start arguments and can start fights just based on your words. So think about the words you choose. Think about the actions you take, how you respond to people, how you act to people is usually where safety starts with. And then from there, there's a whole lot of other things that they can do. But that's the biggest one is be responsible for yourself and treat others how you want to be treated.
Okay, we will remember to be responsible.
What advice would you give those of us who would like to be a police officer someday?
I would say keep studying. So a lot of our job as police officers, people think is all the fun stuff, driving fast and chasing bad guys, stuff like that. It is, but I'd say only that's 10 to 15% of our job. Every fun or exciting thing that we do, we have to write a report on it. So learn how to write well, learn grammar, learn English, learn punctuation, learn everything that you can about writing a story well, because you have to tell a story about every single thing that you do. So in school, pay attention to that. Listen to your teachers. In law enforcement, there's a lot of people that we have to listen to. So your teachers are that step for you guys. They're the authority figure over you. I've got a boss that I have to listen to. So being responsible, being respectful, studying hard, all of that stuff is the advice I'd give.
Well, you just gotta learn, so.
Yep.
And what's your favorite part of being a school resource officer?
My favorite part about being a school resource officer, not gonna lie, is I get to see my kiddos every day at school. That's probably my favorite part. I get to go over there and see them. On second to that, I also get to see my wife, who's a teacher over here. And I also get to see my mom. So there's a lot of special people in my life that work here at the schools, and that's very big and a very special part about my job. But really just being able to be myself and interact with all the people here, whether it be the adults or the kiddos, just being able to have fun with them is very special.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you, Officer Jesse, for speaking with us today on the Gratefully Gifted podcast.
Our last segment today is I'm Bored Now What? I want to share with you a game I think you'll like called the Game of Life. In the Game of Life, there are different career cards you have to choose. One card, like we learned about on today's episode, is a police officer. The police officer's job in this game is to collect a fine of 5,000 life money from anyone speeding. Speeding is for anyone who spins a tin on the wheel on the board. Some other jobs you choose from in my game are teacher, performer, professional athlete, artist, video game designer, doctor, and chef. I like it because in the Game of Life, you get to choose what you get to do. Like, do you want to go to college or just start a career, have a family picnic, or when you retire, do you want to live? If you haven't played this game, I highly recommend it. Well, that's all for today. We hope you enjoyed this episode and learned some new things you didn't already know. If you enjoyed it, please share it with others and like and subscribe from where you get all your podcasts. We appreciate your support, and if you would like to reach out to us with other topic ideas, just email us at gratefullyGifted@branson.k12.mo.us. We all feel grateful to be gifted, and we hope you do as well, because being gifted is great.